Welcome to Healing Body, Mind, and Soul, empowering self-care, self-healing, and self-mastery for a better world. Here's your host, Aeriol Ascher.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Empowered Self-Care Book Talks. As you know, Healing Body, Mind, and Soul Network is sponsoring these wonderful book talks with our co-authors for the upcoming book, Empowered Self-Care, Healing Body, Mind, and Soul for a Better World. I have got quite a lineup for you today. I am very, very excited that we have amazing speakers. Say hi to everybody, ladies. Go ahead and give everybody a wave. We have Caterina Rando, Megan Murphy, and Kelsey Bassanini with us today. They are all co-authors of the fabulous upcoming book. Now, we decided to do this book, and it turned out to be amazing timing. I just think it's so important at this time in history, really, that we talk about and empower self-care. I think that with the pandemic and everything that's gone on over this last year, that everybody has really been faced with how important self-care really is. I think that the COVID-19 really had some people wake up and realize that there were some pieces of their own self-care that they needed to spend more attention on. So me and the fabulous ladies who got together for this book, for the Empowered Self-Care, Healing Body, Mind, and Soul for a Better World anthology, thought that we would also put together this nice video series where the authors, the co-authors, can come on and share with you just little talks, 10-minute talks about their chapter and why they think it's important to bring forward this information about self-care at this time. So I won't keep you waiting too much longer. My first speaker is such an amazing friend of mine. She's my mentor, friend, coach, and just all around amazing advocate for women in business. I want to introduce you at this time to Caterina Rando. Here we go. Caterina, it is so amazing to be here with you today.
Hi, my friend. So happy to be here.
It is awesome to see you, and I can't wait to hear what you have to say about the subject of self-care. Now, of course, I have the honor and privilege to be the compiler of our book, so I know what everybody's chapters are about, but this is our unveiling, so this is when our public gets to know exactly what your chapter is about, why you thought it was important to bring it forward at this time, and just what self-care means to you. I'm going to turn it over to you, Caterina, and just give you about 10 minutes to go ahead and do your thing and just share with us about your take on self-care.
Hi, everybody. So happy to be with you. When you think of self-care, I'm sure you think of a good night's sleep and drinking plenty of water and having a plant-based diet and having some relaxing time and moving your fanny, all those things that absolutely matter with self-care. I thought that I would take a little different take on the topic, and I want to talk to you today about some things that are really important with self-care that you may not think about as self-care. And this is what I'm covering in my chapter in this amazing book that Aeriol has compiled. And self-care is one of those things that I want to encourage you to seek to master. And what I mean by that is, you're probably good at a lot of things about self-care, and there's always room for improvement. And let's take a little different spin on it. If you're a mom, You probably have heard the idea of a mommy's helper. Well, I want to say that any woman on the planet, she needs some help. She needs some support, particularly if she's engaged in her community or she has a business, or if you have a business. I want you to have a CEO helper. I want you to have a woman on a mission helper. And I want to take a moment with you right now to look at how you and where you can create more support in your life. Let's take a deep breath. Look at your personal life. Look at your professional or career life or business life. What are you doing that is not the highest and best use of your time? Because I'm going to tell you something. I recommend that you look at paying attention to those things that take your time, that you don't love to do, that take too long, that you don't want to master, and you get some support with them. You know, a couple of years ago, I was in a grocery store late at night, and it was a cold night. And I bundled myself all up before I went in the grocery store. And still, the store was freezing. My nose was running because the store was so cold. And then when I came out of the store, there were nefarious characters right by my car at night. And I thought to myself, why am I going to the grocery store? And that's when I started to use a grocery delivery service. And I have never looked back. And imagine all the tons of hours. In fact, you know, when you order your groceries, they tell you how many hours you've saved. And so far, I've saved 144 hours. That's a lot of time. Cleaning your house, I hope you're not doing that. You're too VIP for that. Where can you create more support in your life? And let me say the other thing. This is a time for more support. This is a time for more counseling and more being in a support group and having a life coach. This is an important time for this. Have more support in your life. The other thing, though, is it's not just about hiring more support. It's also about asking for more support. Asking the people in your life if you could get some more support for them. Asking whomever you want to ask something of. And I know that there's somebody that you want to ask for some type of support with. Ask, because do not expect your friends, your spouse, your parents, your kids, anybody, don't expect them to be mind readers. Ask for support if that would be of benefit. Because I want you to get really good at asking for what you want. This is an important aspect of self-care that you may not be thinking about. Ask for what you want. Because the more you ask, the more you're going to get it. And by the way, super tip alert. A complaint is an unstated request. If you find yourself complaining about something, guess what? You can fix it with a request. Get hip to that idea and start to catch yourself. Let's take another deep breath. The other thing I see is that with women, often women take forever to make a decision. Okay? Are we going to order Italian or Chinese? It's not a big decision. They're both good. Don't spend hours and hours and days and sometimes weeks over decisions that are not having a lot of impact in your life. Because when you don't make decisions, my friends, first of all, you're not trusting yourself. But the other thing is, your life is stopping. You're stuck. because there's a decision that has to be made before you move forward. And related to this is I want you to trust yourself, trust your intuition, trust your experience. And don't be one of those gals that has to consult 5 other people before she decides to make a decision. Now, by the way, one of the things that will help you with decision making is creating a criteria. So, for example, do you have a criteria for who gets to be your friend? Do you have a criteria if you're in business for who gets to be your client? Do you have a criteria for anyone that is a support person that would come in your home? When you create a criteria for something, it makes decision making easier. You decide once. Anybody that comes and helps me, I want them to have a positive disposition. I want them to operate with integrity. I want them to be a good communicator. I want them to have a genuine attitude of service. That's my criteria for anybody that's going to come help me in my home with anything. One criteria created one time will serve you over and over and make decision making easier. So I want you to begin to look at this. Of course, the same thing for your business. The same, where in your life? Let's ask you that important question right now. Take a deep breath. Where in your life is it a good idea to create a criteria? Okay, I've talked to you about creating more support and asking more for what you want. And we've talked about being more decisive and creating criteria to help you make decisions. Now, I got a lot more in my chapter. I'm going to share just one more thing with you that I feel is an essential part of self-care to support you in thriving everywhere in your life. And that is to recognize that you want to be your own best support. And I don't mean the support of taking time for fitness and hydration and sleep and all of that, of course. But I want you to be your own best success coach. I want you to recognize that you're the one who is with yourself 24/7. And I want you to be on your side, not on your back. Pay attention to your negative self-talk, to your worry. Because do you know what? Simply by setting the intention, I'm going to be more positivo, you can take your worrying and negative thoughts all the way down from 70% to 40%. I want to invite you right now to set that intention, because you're the one who is in charge of what's happening up here. Master your self-talk. Focus on having an attitude of uplift in your life. And as a result, you will feel less stressed. You will have more ease. And my intention is that you will find yourself blissing even more. Bing, bing, bing. My friends, I'm Caterina Rando. I would love to support you to have more ease and bliss in your business. And I am so honored to be a part of this amazing empowered self-care book with Aeriol Ascher. Aeriol, I'll leave it. There we go. Bing, bing.
I love it. Caterina, always so eloquent, so amazing. Let me share with you, Caterina, what's going on behind the scenes here, because this is going to crack you up. Look, Dr. Beth is with us, and she's excited to hear all of your super tips. I know. We're getting so many great comments here. And we have some other people saying, yeah, they totally needed to hear that. You need to get help in your business and help in your life. And just an overall thank you, Caterina, from the crowd as we're talking here. This is wonderful, Caterina. Thank you so much. Let's bring the other ladies on and see what they have to say. I would love to hear from the beautiful Megan Murphy. Megan, how did you like Caterina's talk?
I love getting to know more about what other people are sharing in this book. It's so exciting. And I'm excited because the last part of what she was talking about, I'm going to dive into a little bit more.
Oh, that's excellent. Oh, isn't that amazing how they all work together? I love it. We have quite a synergy going in this book. I must say, it's really, really awesome. Kelsey, you want to chime in and say anything to Caterina?
Is such a powerful speaker. I love what you said about wanting for us to be on our side instead of our back. So get off the back. That's a wonderful, wonderful reminder. Thank you, Caterina.
Yeah. Caterina, always wonderful to be here with you. I hope you'll stick around while we listen to these other amazing co-authors. It's wonderful to have you here today. So thank you for everything that you've shared.
Thank you, my friend.
You got it. Okay, next up on our fanfare, we have the amazing Megan Murphy. Megan is amazing. And Megan and I know each other we were actually in a meditation course together. And I live in San Jose, California, and Megan lives all the way in Illinois. And somehow we connected and fell in love with each other. And lo and behold, here we are in this beautiful project together. I fell in love with her work. I am a complete supporter of everything that she's doing. Her business is Backyard Beauty. I'm going to let her tell you a little bit about it herself and what she's going to share in her chapter of the Empowered Self-Care book that's coming out soon in February of 2021. So I'm going to butt out and let you take it over for 10 minutes and share with us all about self-care, Megan. It's great to see you. Mwah.
Thank you, Aeriol, for this opportunity to share a bit about my participation in the Empowered Self-Care book and why self-care is so important for all of us. So we live in a time that offers us many opportunities for living into our true selves. And this time simultaneously offers us many distractions from accomplishing this alignment with who we really are. And who are we really? We're always figuring this out, but we are powerful, creative, intuitive, compassionate, worthy beings who are experiencing a physical life on this earth. And when we give our power to others by comparing ourselves, competing with one another, relying on others to tell us what's best for our person, we lose the ability to connect with our own intuition, our own creativity, our own inner knowing. And much like exercising a muscle, if we don't exercise our inner knowing, it atrophies and becomes weaker. Thus, I consider self-care to be the antidote for a weakened connection to our inner knowing. Self-care involves tuning into and prioritizing the experiences and thoughts that feed our body, mind, and spirit. And each individual gets to figure out what works best for them, what resonates most with their person. When an individual prioritizes their own well-being and intentionally seeks tools to support them on their well-being journey, there is no distraction that can keep them from living into their true self. One thing that would benefit us all is to help transform the idea of what it means to be selfish. It holds a negative connotation in our culture, reinforcing that putting yourself first is a detriment to others. However, it is ironic that if we actually took better care of ourselves and kept our own cups full, we would have so much more to give to others. Thus, my wish for every individual on this planet is to know how it feels to appreciate, have compassion for, enjoy, and love their own being. When we allow ourselves the opportunity to take care of ourselves, we can create the lives we most want to live. I was drawn to participate in this collaborative empowered self-care book as it enables me to share my enthusiasm for celebrating and supporting the work it takes to take care of ourselves. Self-care is the hardest practice to adopt, as it requires going against the flow of the outside world and instead paying attention to the flow of our own individual. So the more support we can give one another on our respective self-care journeys, the more momentum we can create for following our own flow. And I have come to prioritize my own self-care after having children and realizing that I wasn't being the mom nor the person that I most wanted to be. And the discomfort I experienced and letting go of a career-driven mindset was real. And I've had to recreate a mindset that enables me to appreciate putting my and my family's well-being first. I now live on my family's centennial farm in central Illinois. And I've moved here with my husband and 2 children from Alaska just in the last couple years. And I'm creating a career that I never would have thought was realistic before having started a self-care practice. I now grow medicinal plants, craft flower essences, and develop wellness products that incorporate flower essences. In addition to creating these products, I have developed a self-care process that is enhanced by using the Ami flower essence. This is described in my chapter, which is entitled Allowing Your True Self to Flourish. This process primarily involves observing the thoughts that you think and determining which ones are actually supporting you in being the person you want to be, and which ones are actually disempowering you and you need to pass on by, let them flow on by. So this might seem straightforward, and yet it requires intentional self-reflection and compassion. It can be very challenging to look at ourselves, and even more challenging to be kind to ourselves when we don't like what we see. So that's why it's helpful to have the assistance of the Ami flower essence and self-reflective questions to support your body in vibrating at a higher frequency. This enables you to have more compassion for yourself as you identify obstructions that you're putting on your path, and it allows you to shed ways of being that do not serve you. Flower essence vibrations are much like music in that they can lift us up just by being in their presence. Each flower has its own distinct song, and the Ami flower has a song of ascension, which is the process of allowing one's spirit to guide one's life. Thus, the Ami flower essence helps individuals in clearing the distractions that keep us from thriving and being aligned with our spirit. The power of flower essences comes from their unique ability to support our body and mind exactly where we most need it. And they work in subtle and gentle ways to loosen old memories or beliefs that do not serve us. They help remind our bodies what it feels like to vibrate at a higher frequency. And when we do so, we are less likely to be taken down by our saboteuring ego and instead strengthen our inner knowing. And allowing our inner knowing to be the most dominant voice in our heads enables us to step into the joy of being our true selves. So I am more than excited to be a part of this collaborative book, and I'm grateful to Aeriol Ascher for orchestrating this offering of empowered self-care support and tools. So I encourage you all to go out in early February to get this book, and I wish you the very best on your journey. Thanks.
Amazing. Oh, yeah. I love it. I absolutely love it. Hey, everybody, you are going to want to go to backyardbeauty.net. I even sent my tax lady to Megan's website to get some of her artisan soaps. They're really beautiful quality products. And I also was gifted with the wonderful set of Amay flower essences for chakras 1 through 12 in a beautifully handcrafted set that Megan sent to me. That is just one of my prized possessions and healing tools. They really have the highest frequency and beautiful, beautiful artisan craftsmanship. So I just am so excited that you decided to do the book and to share with everybody. I want to bring all the other ladies on now so that they can congratulate you. What did you think? Caterina's a big thumbs up. Yes.
I loved it. I'm a big flower essence enthusiast, so I super loved hearing about that. And I also love, Megan, that you're creating your ideal life and your blissful life on the farm with the family. And that's a beautiful role modeling for other women in the world. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, she is so powerful, Caterina. We got to keep our eyes on this one. Hey, look, even our Facebook fans are saying, thanks, Megan. They just absolutely love this information about your flower essences and what you're doing with them on your farm there. How about you, Miss Bassanini? Oh, here, let me get that off the screen. How about you? What did you think?
Oh, it's just so incredible how Megan is sharing with us the richness of her family farm, that this is, the seeds are heirloom seeds growing in soil that's been tended in from historically from her family. It's just amazing that we can then experience the healing gifts of these flowers. Thank you, Megan.
Yeah, it really is amazing. I've shared with Megan another time in a private conversation, the documentary, The Biggest Little Farm. I just love that. And every time I think of that, or anytime I think of Megan, these are like synonymous. And I love what she's doing. I love that she's working with the land. I love that she's co-creating with nature. And as Caterina would say, she's living her bliss. So thank you so much for being a role model for everyone and embracing that beautiful holistic lifestyle, Megan. I'm so proud of you. It's really beautiful to watch you blossom. Okay, next but not least, let's get the amazing Kelsey Bassanini in the house. Now, Kelsey is doing all kinds of wonderful things. I was telling everybody earlier, Kelsey is our resident biohacker. She's disrupting nervous systems everywhere in the best possible way. I'll let her explain what all of that is about. Kelsey has a wonderful background as a cardiac specialist. She has all kinds of interesting expertise that she's put together, and I love what she's up to, and I love her contribution to the book. So let me just get out of the way and turn it over to the fabulous Kelsey Bassanini. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Aeriol. My friends, I would like you to think about how you practice self-care. Now, whether you do it yourself, for yourself, or whether you engage a professional or a practitioner, some of the things that you might choose to do, it could be pampering, it could be gentle activity. Maybe you enjoy some cooking, some drinking, some socializing. Maybe you enjoy music or theater or reading. Maybe there's some travel involved. How about some intimacy, some sex? How about some personal or emotional development? So self-care is so important now that many health systems ask us how we practice self-care. But I'd like you to think about, have you had this conflict where you scheduled some self-care, but you experienced stress trying to get to your self-care. Or maybe you got off the massage table and you're going home and then you experienced some stress in traffic. Or maybe you booked a trip and it was stressful negotiating your lodging or your meals. So when you experience this type of self-care in which you seek to lower stress and you look for ways to relax, the problem with this is that it creates this void for the universe to send you more stress, external stress. So self-care, when practiced as, oh, I'm going to lower the stress that I'm feeling, actually gives you an opportunity to attract more stress towards you. So what can be done? I'd like to propose that we disrupt this viewpoint of how we do self-care. We disrupt it by leaning into our discomfort. So because stress is a physical or emotional tension, what I propose is the real way to get rid of this tension is to lean into it, right? So my chapter in our anthology on empowered self-care is about leaning into discomfort. Because when we raise the benchmark of how much we can thrive under good stress, then we can take on more of the external stressors that we have no control over without phasing us, right? So let me give you an example of how this is possible. I've been doing a lot of mountain biking lately, and I have to tell you, there are nights when I jump out of bed because I have a cramp. And when I think about, oh, I want to loosen, I want to decrease that tension, and I go to massage the cramp, chances are my calf is really tight, right? And that manual therapy isn't going to really make a difference because there's so much tension. But if I can grab onto my bed and push up and take a step, if I make that muscle actually work, the cramp actually goes away in a few steps. And isn't that fabulous? By making that muscle work, I actually decrease the tension. So that's what I propose, is that we lean into the discomfort and not avoid it. This is why high achieving people gravitate towards performance sports, performance activities. It could be improv, going to comedy classes. It could be learning how to climb indoors. These activities raise the amount of good stress that we allow ourselves to experience, so that when we have stressors that come towards us from things that are out of our control, we can take a breath and compare, wait a minute, I've experienced bigger stresses that I choose to engage in. So this stress that comes to me is just a little bit of a nuisance. It doesn't have to rock my world, okay? So again, I would invite you to embrace this disruption in the way we think about our self-care, to lean into discomfort. Now, it's about the end of October, and this week, when I walk outside, I feel the air smells more like autumn. And people, when they leave the house in the morning, they're bundled up now, hats and gloves. And I remember many years ago, I used to run in the mornings. I lived in the Bay Area and I used to run in the mornings. And the temperature would be around the 50s. And I felt like, wow, this is cold. So I had my hands tucked in my sweater or my running jacket. Well, I actually relocated to Iowa and temperatures dropped to 30s and I was still running outside. And then the snow dropped And then the temperature, I remember one time taking my kids ice skating. And then afterwards we went to get some coffee. And I thought, like, how come my feet aren't warming up? And then on the way home, we passed by a bank and they had the temperature sign and it said -15. And that's when I realized there was no way my feet were going to warm up. But what happened was that I looked to find comfort. So I bundled up even more. I got thicker boots. And every time I walked across the parking lot to take them to school, I felt like, wow, this is so stressful. I need something comforting. So I found myself eating and drinking coffee and sweets for comfort. That first winter in Iowa, I gained 30 pounds because I was seeking for comfort outside of myself. And in Iowa, there's no, I mean, when the snow drops, it just stays on the ground for 3 months. There's no getting around it. So fast track now, I've relocated back to Northern California. And right now, with the weather being in the 50s, I start many mornings by going to swim in the ocean. And the water temperature is about 50, in the mid 50s. And the air temperature could be 50, 60. And it has made such a difference to me. Right now, well, when I swim on my own for workouts, I still swim without a wetsuit. And what that does is that my threshold for what is stressful is so different. You know, the cold doesn't bother me, the air temperature doesn't bother me. And so this is a part of my practice in terms of leaning into discomfort. So I'm excited to share with you some more tips and a little bit more of history in terms of what it is that your nervous system is telling you when it's dealing with stress. I look forward to sharing all this in my chapter in our anthology on empowered self-care. And I'm delighted to be on this author interview with Aeriol, with Caterina, and with Megan. Thank you very much.
Amazing. Hi, there she is. Wonderful. You know, I'm a documentary fanatic. You may or may not know that, but I was just watching a gentleman whose career is all about dunking people in ice water. I mean, he's a coach, and his whole thing is he's the ice man, and he disrupts people's systems. It's why I was right on the edge of my game when I was introducing you today, because I just watched something about this, and I'm like, oh, this is what Kelsey is doing in her work, right? Mm-hmm. Which I mean, I just think it's really a great practice that you're doing. There's so many reasons that I think what you're doing with your swims, and I know you're leading groups on your swims. Your work is really, really great. I love what you're up to, and you probably won't be getting me in a I don't mind the ocean so much, but you probably won't be getting me in a bucket of cold water. Although one of my favorite voice coaches, celebrity voice coach, also teaches about breathing. And one of the demonstrations that he does is he swims under the ice, you know, for his breath support and all of these things. But yeah, this is, I'm probably not in the camp of extreme sports people, but I'm in the camp of extreme work people. So I do need to monitor those things as well. It's great to have you today, Kelsey.
Thank you.
Let's bring the other ladies on so they can give you a little chit chat. What did you ladies think? Let's hear from Megan. Megan, what'd you think? Oops, she's muted. Let me get that mic for you.
Oh, yes. I was just thinking while Kelsey was speaking about what things I might lean into more, and I'll have to think more about that because I don't jump towards discomfort.
I hear you on that one. And Kelsey has quite a posse that she's getting together for her ritual at the beach. And maybe me and Megan can cheer you guys on from the beach from the side another time. But I don't think Megan's like, I'm not going to come from Illinois all the way to California to get cold, right?
Totally.
We love that. I love what you're up to, Kelsey. It's wonderful.
Oh.
Hey, Caterina, what did you think?
I love, Kelsey, that you are doing all these exciting things and helping people to disrupt their limiting beliefs and their ways of thinking. I will say, I've never gotten in the bay to swim. My sister, who is quite the athlete, she is a regular swimmer in the bay. So I do, and she loves it. And I know a lot of people love it. And, you know, I think maybe the truth is we should try anything once, right, Aeriol?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I totally believe in the practice. You know, I do float in the isolation tank.
Yeah, right.
That's part of my although that water is quite warm, but but I do actually believe in the practice of the cold plunge, and after a sweat or something like that, I believe in the cold plunge. I just haven't embraced the cold practice as much as Kelsey has. Okay. Ladies, I would love to go around the room. I just want to hear some parting words of what you have to say to leave the ladies with. Let's start out with the fabulous Caterina Rando. Just give the ladies a little something before we shove off here today.
Yeah, sure. Well, what I'll say is, Kelsey and Megan and myself, we've given you a lot to think about today. What my request is, though, is don't just think about it. Pick something that we've discussed to get busy on and take action. You know, I find it interesting when people say, well, I'm going to think about that. That's not where anything happens, okay? You want to make some positive changes? It's all about action. And try something that we've discussed, because between the three of us, we've given you a lot of ideas to uplift your life. So pick something and go do it.
Yeah, pick something and go do it. Go jump in a lake, everybody. And Kelsey will help you, right? She can rescue you if anything happens. She's equipped with all of these things. All right, let's hear. Megan, do you have any fabulous super tips for our audience before we shove off here today?
I would reiterate very much what Caterina just said, in that just seeing the diversity of what we have found in our own lives in this hour of presentation, it really is something we get to celebrate. Every individual gets to figure out what works for them. So even if it's not something that resonated with you from what we just shared today, yeah, go do the thing that calls to you, because that's going to be what works for action.
Absolutely. Everybody's got to connect to their own inner knowing, their own inner compass, their own, and find their own way. You're a free and sovereign being. And hopefully these wonderful wise women are going to direct you in a way to help you with your own self-care. I did want to say that we did have some shout outs for Kelsey as well. And Megan, we did get some shout outs on Facebook for you. I just wanted to let you know so that you didn't think that your audience wasn't paying attention to you. Everybody is on task there. And I did want to get back with the fabulous Kelsey Bassanini. Kelsey, do you have any last minute words of wisdom or super tips that you can lead us with today before we sign off?
Yes. Now, I use for me, my personal practice involves water, but what it comes down to is I encourage you to surprise yourself. It could be anything that you look at and you think, oh, I don't think I can do that. Or, you know, I've heard people say, that's just not for me. But why is it not for you? Because sometimes what we resist tells us a lot about where we need to grow. And so I would love for you to take small steps and give yourself compassion in your exploration of this discomfort, and yet take that step, because when you lean into discomfort, you find amazing things on the other side. Take care, my friends.
Wise words. Okay, these are our fabulous wise women. I love them dearly. Thank you so much, ladies. I really appreciate you. And for the rest of you who are listening at home, I just want to remind you that we do have our book coming out in February of 2021. And you're going to want to get on our mailing list so that you can get a copy of your very own. For the first 24 to 48 hours on February 9th, we will offer that book for just $1. It's amazing. I know. We can hardly believe it ourselves, but we're so, so excited. And we want to make sure that as many people as possible have this information in their hands. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for tuning in with us today. Thank you for being with me and all of our fabulous authors. I appreciate them so much. I think they are so wonderful. And from all of us to all of you, we just like to say thank you very much for joining us. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye. Okay.